So UK drill rapper Billy Billions today was sentenced to 33 years in jail plus another 6 years on license after his role in a conspiracy to commit murder back in 2020. And he's also already in jail for 13 years for firearms. Madness. So this guy's looking to be spending at least the next 30 years in jail. Yo, let me break it down, man. That is mad. Mad. So the typical source nowadays, Total Crime on Twitter, Chris Summers. And today he tweeted at 5 o'clock, London rapper Billy Billions, real name Bailey McKenzie, was today jailed for 33 years plus 6 years on license for conspiracy to murder. He's already serving 13 years for a separate firearms charge. Mad. And someone asked in the tweets, so is this addition to the 13 years or included? Additional. So the charge he was no the crime he was convicted of last year, the sentence he got 13 years is going to be added on to the 33-year sentence that he got this year. Yo, that is head loss. Head loss. So, and of course, as you've seen, Billy Billions has been raging on Instagram, complaining about essentially a miscarriage of justice and that there's been tampered evidence. He's been convicted because he's black, stuff like that. But I'll break that down throughout the video. So cool. Let's get into obviously who is Billy Billions. Billy Billions. He is a drill rapper from the UK drill group 98s. The 98s are a very prominent UK drill group, and it includes members. You know what? It includes the members such as Billy Billions, Mazza, DA, who was sentenced to jail for I think like 28 years for the same case, by the way, for the same case, same incident, separate case, same incident. Um, you got Stally, that might be DLA, Al Tribino, Jimmy, KO, who was also sentenced to like 25 years, I think 30 years. Unknown T, V9, there's a Hitman, DLA, Smokes. You get me? And of course, this is just the commercial. This is the rap. Of course, the gang 98s, the man's from Homerton and them and Harley Street. There's probably bare man that don't rap that are part of the 98s. You get it? So of course, all the rappers is not the whole complete group of the 98s. You get me? But Billy today joins the growing list of 98 rappers currently serving life sentences, not jail time, life sentences. You get me? DA was recently sentenced to jail for 28 years. KO has been sentenced to jail. Hitman was sentenced to jail. And now Billy Billions. Unknown T was, of course, arrested back in like 2018, I think it was, for murder, but he beat the case. Yo, he must have banged some mad juju, you get me? And I guess that kind of marked the downfall that these men were about to go on because pretty much the whole set is gone. You get me? The whole set. The only ones that are left are if we're being truthful, not the main rappers in the camp. You get me? Ultrabino, Jimmy, um, Mazza, Smoke. Like they're all cold. They're all cold. But the main guys, the strikers, the ones that people come to see are all gone, man. So it's mad. But okay, cool. So let's break down the case and let's go into the case. So as Chris Summers has stated here, the conspiracy to murder charge relates to a shooting in December 2020 in which a university student with no links to any gangs was shot twice in the head and suffered catastrophic injuries, including permanent blindness after the Holly Street gang slash 98s carried a ride out into London Fields territory in Hackney. Mad. So of course it seems, and I also found the articles from the initial incident. Let me find it. Boom. Triple Dalston shooting. This was 5 years ago. 5 years ago, a man shot in the head, left fighting for his life. So um, yeah. So that's pretty much what happened, man. Which is mad. Which is mad. And conducting research on Reddit as well. People have been saying that these guys are civilians and stuff. So the fact that these men have committed a ride out, and of course you get me, this wrong place, wrong time. So it could be a case of the people, the victims were just I think it was five guys in the car, so they probably looked dodgy. And of course, if the 98s man have set out on a ride out looking for violence, these men are going to shoot anyone they see. And I don't know where I read. I just read it. Oh, where did I read? Well, I read online that um before the shooting happened, the guys in the car had asked the victims, like, "Yo, you man from Fields?" And of course, the guy said no, but I guess these men just went fuck it, and went ahead. But cool. So let's look deeper into the chart anyway. So this was his third retrial, by the way, because I think his first, second, I think there was some sort of issues, hung jury, stuff like that, or the jury can come to a verdict. But of course, he was convicted back in July, so this has been ongoing before then. And someone here has on Reddit has copied an article, and as you can read, Bailey McKenzie, Bailey McKenzie, Billy Billions, he was not in the car, but he played a key role in plotting the attack in Hackney, which left the victim with catastrophic injuries. Um, so they say here. So they say here pretty much that Billy Billions' role in the case was was involved in planning the ride out, and he'd also provided the shooter with a gun to obviously commit the crime. That's what he's basically been done for. Um, but obviously Billy says that he did not give any gun, and I'll get into that further down. So cool. If you read this article that was obviously put into this Reddit, I don't use Reddit, but when I googled Billy Billions, there was no mainstream Sky News, etc. It was straight Reddit. You get it? So cool. It says here, if we go down furthermore, this incident was a culmination of a campaign of violence, basically stating that it's the beef between the 98s and London Fields. London Fields, that's where Mashtown, Asco, Margs, Hypo, RIP, these men are from. But they're the older generation, the younger generation, ZT. You've got guys like Ballistic, you've got guys like Lats, things like that. Um, so yeah, pretty much. So it's been made very clear in the case that Billy Billions was not the shooter. The shooter has already been convicted. A guy called Ruel Briscoe. Ruel Briscoe. Ruel Briscoe, Dalvane Greenway, and Julian Kalala were working on a group of friends met up to celebrate the birthday of one of them. And it says here, this is obviously what the judge has said. Um, they were there to pick up one of their friends. Those five young men have no association with the London Fields gang, but where they part was right in the heart of the London Fields territory. Um, they were sitting in the Mercedes at the time of the shooting when the Zafira pulled up. That's a family car, 8-seater thing. The Zafira pulled up around 9:45. The driver of the vehicle of the victim's car was on the phone when he was asked if the five in the car were from London Fields. Man got G checked. And before he could even say no, shots were fired. He got out of the door and ran. As he was running, he realized he was shot in the arm. One of the victims said he saw three men in the car pull up wearing face coverings and dark clothing. You get me? See? And then we have some dialogue here. He asked, are you from Fields? He then asked, where are you from? They were then asked if they were waiting for something about Fields, and then the person said, fuck it, and shot. So it's mad, it's all mad. But yeah, so this is what Billy's been convicted on. And doing some reading on Reddit. I know Reddit is not the most reliable source, but at the same time, this is real people putting information in the chat, people from the areas, stuff like that. So you can't completely write it off. You got what I mean? You get all the internet sleuths on here, the trap law Rust kind of guys that you know keep up to date. I don't use Reddit, but when you do need to find information, it's very handy. I'm not sure where this article was from. They haven't really said the source, but you know, it looks like a legit article. Okay, so when I was doing some research on DA's case, and DA was sentenced to 28 years, I found out that it's also from the same incident which Billy Billions was arrested on, well, has been convicted for. Same incident, but I guess the cases are separate, of course. But okay, so cool. Yeah, man, it's mad. So Billy Billions has been very, very vocal online regarding his case, his trial, and essentially accusing the CPS, courts, the judge of corruption. And he basically, Billy Billions claims that the police officers who were involved in the investigation, who initially conducted the arrests and searched the house of the shooter, Ruel, they claim to have found a bullet casing in the house of the guy they searched. But it turns out that this bullet casing it was not a bullet casing, it was like a silver cap or a metal cap for dreadlocks, something like that. And at the time, this was put forward in court to help convict Billy for the shooting, but his Cody was acquitted of possessing a gun. So of course Billy is saying, if you're saying my guy, you saying I gave a gun to this guy, you saying I gave a gun to this guy, but you've acquitted him of possessing a gun, then how have you convicted me when you've acquitted him of possessing a gun? And you guys knew that it wasn't a bullet casing, but you refused to reveal that to the jury, who have then continued to convict me for conspiracy to commit murder. So, yeah, it seems like his next step really from getting convicted is to appeal. But let's go through his Instagram post. So, obviously, I've just explained what he has been saying on Instagram. Let's go through the body cam because he's posted body cam footage. So as you can see, to convict me, your officers needed proof that I gave my co-defendant a gun. He was acquitted of this offense. They lied, etc. So cool. Let's go through the footage. So the first video. So that's the dreadlock ornament that obviously Billy's referring to, which was allegedly supposed to look like a bullet casing.
Have you looked up here?
Okay, so that's the first house search. Then Billy then provides a second house search video. And he has also named and shamed the officers who were involved in the search.
Sometimes like N18 Tottenham's that's for hair. That's for hair. Yeah. For dreadlocks. That's not a bullet. Take it back away then. That's not a bullet. No, no. Yeah. So yeah. Oh no, it wasn't that. No. No, yeah. No, definitely not.
So interesting. Very interesting, Very, very interesting. So, if this is the case, which is what Billy is alleging, then he needs to appeal. That's the next step, really, because that's obviously some sort of corruption there. And of course, in this country, you're entitled to a free trial. No, not a free trial, a fair trial. Yeah, you're entitled to a fair trial, and no matter if this guy is a monster or that's what they deem him. At the end of the day, you can't use Buki tactics to convict a man. You get me? It's like if you know someone's guilty of a crime, you can't cheat your way in proving that. You know what I'm saying? Because that's unfair. If you can't prove he's done it, how can you convict someone of doing it? You get me? And that will just show that can't be setting precedent going forward in the courts where they can just use shady tactics to start convicting people. But I guess that's just how it has been, man. You know. So really, Billy, Billy's just gonna have to. The next step is to go to the Court of Appeal, and I assume he's gonna be wanting his conviction to be quashed. So I did a bit of research regarding appeals, getting your convictions quashed. Let's do a bit of research on that. I'll show you lot. So, boom. So essentially, how it works is if you're convicted of a crime, you have the right to appeal to the Court of Appeal. It's obviously you feel there's some sort of miscarriage of justice because that's essentially what he's alleging. You get me? And as you can, as you can see here, miscarriages of justice in the UK is where individuals are wrongfully convicted or punished for crimes they did not commit, often due to factors like unreliable eyewitness testimony, forensic mistakes, false confessions, perjury, or prosecutorial misconduct. And if we've seen there that the main reason why the main meat of his trial was that there were bullet casings found in the shooter's house, but it's been proven now that there was no bullet casings. You still can't go ahead and convict a man like that, but we'll leave that to the Court of Appeal. And also, I read that if the Court of Appeal, you're not successful, the Court of Appeal, you can then go to this organization, this body called the Criminal Cases Review Commission. You can apply to us. You can apply for us to review your case if you think you have been wrongly sentenced or wrongly convicted of a criminal offence and you have lost your appeal. The CCRC is an independent body that investigates potential miscarriages of justice in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. But you can only go to this body if you've gone through the Court of Appeal. So you can't just go to the CCRC if if you haven't been to this Court of Appeal. So you need to go to the Court of Appeal. That's what Billy Billions needs to do. But yeah, man, listen, it's mad. It's all mad. It's mad. Um, he seems to be the latest drill rapper to be getting convicted of a serious crime, and he's already been convicted last year of a firearms charge. He's been in jail for the past year. 13 years he was sentenced to. But I guess the mindset is different between a 13-year sentence, between receiving a 13-year sentence and receiving 33. Because you know how it goes in this country. You get a jail time. Well, if you haven't done a crime with a minimum term, a minimum tariff sentence, like murder, things like robbery and stuff like that. Well, with not a major sentence, you can still man come out and do half. You get me? Like if he got 13 years, he might have to serve a third or 2/3, 5, 6 years. That's light work compared to having to serve minimum 33. And of course, Chris Summers confirmed that the sentences are going to be conserved. The sentences are going to be served consecutively. So pretty much, my man has been slapped with 46 years worth of jail time. Mad, yo, brother, 46 years. Yo, he is not coming out until he is like 75, fam. That's Billy Billions is 28. You get me? And obviously, minimum 33 years. That's what he's got to serve, minimum. Or minimum 22 years, I think. You get me? But either way, that guy is serving minimum 20 years in jail, fam. That is mad. You get me? And it just makes you think, wild one for drill rappers, bro. Wild one for drill rappers. Like, it's mad. But it's unfortunate as well because this happened in 2020 and 98s weren't really at the height of their game in 2020. They were at the heights of their game around when they dropped Class of 98s. You know what? I'm like, oh, 2020? Fuck, I'm wrong. Well, 2020, 2022, they were at their heights, you know what I'm saying? So for a man to be involved in a shooting when you just dropped a mixtape and when you're going on a commercial run, it's just like, why, fam? Like, and I understand, obviously, he's tried to play the racism card and that. Cool. But at the same time, it's like, yo, I read an Instagram comment, because there was a lady who was at the trial, and she gave her opinion as well. And this is what she had to say. As someone who is in that courtroom watching the trial unfold, I personally believe it was indeed a miscarriage of justice. Corruption is real, but we don't seem to take it seriously when it's someone who has previous or someone who doesn't have a squeaky clean reputation in society. That's why the courts can get away with it, because there's no uproar. There was missing evidence, redacted evidence, manipulated evidence, circumstantial evidence, a silly, weak case of semantics and trying to force meaning and intent on otherwise trivial, meaningless information. She says, I couldn't believe what I was witnessing and hearing. And she also added that, so you mean the bullet wasn't a bullet? So you mean the police altered evidence more than on one occasion? So you mean the judge brought in a new argument when that's completely unethical? So you mean the person he allegedly gave a gun to got acquitted of possession of a gun? Make it make sense. And yeah, that's what she had to say. And I think someone replied to this saying, where did I read that? Oh no, it was on Instagram. It was on Billy's Instagram. Someone has said that it's not like Billy's an outstanding member of society who they've just grabbed for conspiracy to commit murder. You get me? My man was fully involved, and I do hear that. I do hear that. You get me? These guys can't be pulling these kind of corruption, they're doing me dirty kind of cards when you are, you know, man are involved in some serious stuff. And if you heard Billy Billions' raps, the guy he's cold. He's cold, you know. And that's what I liked about him. He's quite dynamic. He can sing. Whoa, whoa, Tally. He can sing, but he can also rap some violent stuff. Like, listen to this. If I can find it. Let's go.
Warcast. Man's milling for S, single slap man's milling for me. How many times I'll pull up in fields? Anything L just ski. KA, what happened to bro? Try running his yard, but he forgot his key. That's chest and neck, come back, and the chest and neck was done by me. I'll get man down for free, been doing this shit since 013. How many times I made Psycho dash? He quicker than Booth and Cash. Shooting and missing his dead, so that day I didn't even bang off the mash.
So his raps are very graphic, you get me? He's not even, there's no creativity. He is just straight up saying, man said, I've been drilling since 013. There's no point doing him that day, so I didn't bang the mash. I've been shanking my man up since this. You get me? There's even a mad one. He says something about J Hus.
Whites ain't got no balls. Sat on the wing with a heavy metal. Should have done him like I done J Huss and burnt off his face with a kettle.
Like, there's rap and then there's admissions. You get me? Like, that's a very thin line between rapping and admissions. Metaphors. Um, Rapping is metaphors. You get me? Man, being creative with the punchlines and flows and all sorts. Is an art. That's what you call an artist. But a man is straight up admitting to committing crimes. You get me? But like, man can't be saying, like, man can't be saying, they can't be using my lyrics for. I'm an artist. It pays my bills, bro. You literally said point blank, I'll do him like a Don J Huss, and I'll burn his face with a kettle. That's an admission, cuz you get me? Like, yo, yeah, man. But nevertheless, despite Billy Billions being a quote unquote violent guy, it doesn't excuse the fact that he's has the right to a fair trial. And from what he is, I'm actually glad that he's speaking out against this injustice and he's bringing it to the forefront. You get me? Because it seems like he's been done dirty. Like, you get me? He might be guilty of the previous crime of the 13 years firearms charge, but if man have convicted him for 33 years and there's been a lot of tampering with evidence and mistrials and you get me and just miscarriage of justice, then this guy has every right to appeal and also express his frustration, man. So yeah, man, guys, guys, this should be another cautionary tale that the roads does not end in anything good. And you can't do the 1 foot out, 1 foot in thing. You can't do the 1 foot out, 1 foot in thing because this is how you end up, bro. Like Billy fam. 46 years. And of course, he can scream miscarriage of justice and on all that, but right now, he hasn't appealed. He hasn't won an appeal. His conviction hasn't been quashed. So in this present day, he is going to be serving minimum like 25, 30 years in pen, bro. Mad. But yo, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you've got a greater understanding of what happened with Billy Billions. Learned a bit about the law as well. So, but yeah, guys, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.